Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 14 of What If Naruto Was Personally Trained by Kurama after leaving the village. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new series What If Naruto Was Put Through Hell over on Anime King 2. And adopted by the Raikage, and enjoy that guys. And stay tuned for the new episode over Anime King 3 later on. And yes, if you're new, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels. Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. Which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. Links will be down in the description for the others. So go ahead and enjoy them guys. So yeah, without further ado, with this to begin this new episode, start the intro. So, the last time we left off, Fu came to terms that she was a Jinchuriki, just like Naruto. As the girl had been through a lot, she hadn't even started the academy yet, as Taki was different. As male ninjas start the academy before Kunoichi's, it was rather strange. He didn't really understand the concept, seeing that at the San, they start the academy at the same time, as she accepted to go with Naruto. So with that they made their way, as the more she went with him, the more comfortable she got. As that night as she slept, Naruto was pulled into his mindscape by the fox, as she told him that someone was here to see him. As Naruto saw a woman, green hair, she was different, as she told him that she was the Komi inside of Fu, as she thanked him for helping Fu out. And the seal was so tightly wrapped that she couldn't send her chakra Fu away that much. Enough to heal her slightly, but not enough to make a mental connection with her. And she had been so bored all these years. As Naruto found out that the Kyuubi has a name, he was a bit angry at that, but she simply shrugged it off. After all, he never asked. As Naruto couldn't believe that was the reason, because he never asked, she decided never to tell him. He simply shrugged it off though. The next morning he woke up as Fu was not there. He made his way as he found her. Fu was surprised that someone was actually worried about her, as she hugged on to him tight, as she started calling him her brother, as he called her his little sister. With that, they made their way towards Kumo. As they got there, a Jonin was selected to bring them towards Raikage, and that was Yujito. The girls seemed offhanded about their problems, like, well, a reason that ticked Naruto off. What he didn't know was that she was a Jinchuriki as well, as they made their way. They arrived at the office as he spoke to the Raikage about the alliance between the San and Kumo. The Raikage was intrigued by the Kazekage terms. Well, he will send his reply in a few days, as he would discuss it first with his council, but Naruto told him that he was going to be going back. He actually wanted training. The man was surprised, as Naruto told them that he had the 9 tails inside of him. Both him and Fu were Jinchurikis. The Raikage was surprised, as they discussed the opportunity, as he ended up agreeing. Yujito was more open to them by this, as she found out that they were also Jinchurikis. Perhaps she judged them too quickly, as she brought them towards B-sensei. There, Naruto became the student of B, as Yujito took Fu as an apprentice of hers. Months passed after that, as Naruto has been getting non-stop training. Every time he came home, he was completely exhausted. He has also been working on his Fuinjutsu, as he adapted to Fuinjutsu rather quickly. Yes, it was really amazing. The only person that he knew that was far good at Fuinjutsu in the elemental nation was Jiraiya, and he really needed a Fuinjutsu teacher, but what he got through the notes, he was able to study them, as he was able to loosen Fu's seals just a bit so that she could get more contact with Nanabe, as it really wanted to help her and become her friend, so that was good on its part. As Naruto smiled as he was on his way into becoming a Fuinjutsu master. So yeah guys, that was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So with this to begin this new episode, Naruto slipped down the banister of the staircase in the Raikage mansion, followed shortly by Fu. As the both of them flip as they landed, they laugh as entering was 3 shinobis that just came back from a mission. As Naruto smiled at them, as he already knew who they were, thanks to Yujito. Hey Karu, Samui, Amoy. You guys just getting back? The 3 of them nodded, as Amoy looked bored as usual, and Samui looked just indifferent to things, and Karu simply smiled back at him. Despite how Samui acted around people, he knew that she was a good person at heart, but her attitude made it seem like she just didn't care about anyone. But she did. Hey, Naruto, Fu, what were you talking to the Raikage about? Karu asked. As Naruto smiled at his good friend, she had become a good friend to him and an excellent sparring partner. She wasn't as skilled with Kinjutsu as B was, so it was better to hone his skills against her. Sometime he will take on Amoy, Samui, all of them at once, to try and emulate B sword fighting style. Not a lot. Just returning a scroll I borrowed, as Karu nodded. As Naruto has become quite the prodigy in Fuinjutsu, people had started to come to him with jobs regarding that nature. Before anyone else could say anything, there was a high squawk that came from the Raikage tower, as a rather large falcon burst the doors and started to circle around the ceiling. Shouldn't that be at the bird tower? The 3 Kumo shinobis nodded, as the bird looked down as it caught sight of Naruto. Its body tilted as it came down. The bird came rushing down towards him as he had to grab it. Lucky for Beast, endurance trained as he grabbed one arm around his neck and the other one around its feet. As he noticed the carrier case, as he flipped it open, there was a scroll inside. Then the bird just poofed away into a small cloud of smoke. After everyone was done coughing and swatting, the cloud away. Naruto looked at the paper in his hand. Must have been a summon. Fu was behind him, on her tippy toes, trying to peek over his shoulder. She had grown in the 10 months they had been in Kumo, but then again, so has Naruto. What's it say? She asked, as Naruto turned the scroll over, as he saw the words that were written there. For shithead. His face lit up in a smile as he looked over the scroll, as Team Samui came over. Who is it for? It's for me, said Naruto. Samui was confused, as she saw the message on the side, especially after seeing Naruto grin. For shithead, the message read. Then why does it say for shithead? It's from my girlfriend, he said. He got strange looks from the cloud shinobis. Fu was more understanding because Naruto told her about the aware. It was great seeing you guys, but I'll catch you around. I'm gonna head home and check over the scroll, he said. Team Samui simply shrugged as they nodded, as they made their way up the stairs that he just climbed down. Hey, come on. Hey, I'm not a little kid anymore. You don't have to carry me, said Fu, as Naruto simply picked her up and placed her on his shoulders. And who was it that said that being a big brother is a taxi service? And don't act like you don't love it, said Naruto. She blushed in embarrassment. Of course she loved it. She was a kunoichi in training now, but Naruto was just incredibly fast. And especially when she was on his head, the breeze, everything was just so intense. She noticed that he was climbing higher instead of going. As they reached a part of the mountain where they could see Yujito house, Naruto pulled out his special kunai and threw it. Incredible accuracy as it landed. Fu felt it tingling. As they were gone, they reappeared in front of the house as Naruto removed the kunai. You know big sis hate when you do that. It always leaves markings on the walls, said Fu. I'll buy her some sashimi later and she will forget all about it. Yujito was addicted to the stuff. It wasn't even funny, as Naruto thought that he could pack away a lot of food, but she was just beyond intense. She said that it was because he hasn't found his soulmate food yet. Whatever that means. But everyone thought it was just because of the cat-like influence she got from Manatabe. And that wasn't the only thing that she got. Flashback. As Naruto walked into the house with a smile on his face, B had been taking it fairly easy on him today, so he wasn't nearly as worn out as he usually was. As he stepped across the threshold, looking for Fu and Yujito. It was around the first week. Fu had got along good with Yujito and Naruto was happy for that, but the both of them hadn't really got along yet. It was better with Fu because she was just a young, innocent little girl, and Yujito got along with her great, but for him it was different. Well, he just got here, so it's just gonna need time, he thought to himself. She will come around eventually, as he was once told that he had a way of bringing people around, but he didn't find them. As he made his way, he heard some strange sounds coming from upstairs. As he rushed up there, thinking that it was attackers or burglars. As he approached, he heard the growling, a moaning, strange, beastly but definitely human sound. They came from Yujito's bedroom, worrying that she was in danger. He burst inside the door, as Yujito was on her bed. She was wearing nothing but headband. Her body was shaking. He quickly covered his eyes. Sorry, Yujito, I heard noises. There were shouts and I'm sorry. He tried to stumble out of the room, but he heard the panting behind him stop, as he could feel her eyes staring at him now. Naruto? Naruto, wait! As he paused. He didn't know exactly what was going on, but from what he knew, Woman didn't like when guys walked in on them like this, so she was probably pissed. Yujito, he was cut off as she placed a finger on his lip. As Naruto felt her press up against him, he gulped nervously because she wasn't wearing anything. Naruto, I need you, she said. His eyes were still firmly closed as she removed his hand from his face. But he closed his eyes, not knowing if this was a test or not. He just hoped that she wasn't like Uncle teasing him and then humiliating him later. Yujito, what is? She silenced him once again by placing her finger against his lip. As she pressed herself up against him, he noticed his pants was becoming tighter. What is it, Naruto? Don't you like me? She said. He stuttered out something that he couldn't even comprehend, as his mind wasn't going properly at this moment. Then why won't you look at me? She said. I just need you for a little while, that's all. As she took his hand and placed it right in her chest. As Naruto pulled his hand away, he ran. Yes, he ran, his mind confused. He couldn't even talk properly, as he just kept on running until he was a distance away. As when he finally stopped, he was panting, confused as hell. End the flashback. Killer Bee then later explained to him that Monotopic had a effect on Yujito every once a month. He compared it to a cat going in heat, and Naruto had to agree with it. And that was the moment where the ice broke between them, the two of them becoming good, well, awkward at first friends. Of course, if KY ever found out, she would probably kill him, so after 2 seconds of thinking, he decided that he need to keep secrets for some things. As Naruto and Fu walked inside the house greeting Yujito, as she was in the kitchen cooking up something, she asked him about the scroll, but he explained that it was from his girlfriend. The reaction he got, he couldn't explain as she blushed a bit before looking away, with a bit of guilt on her face. But Naruto was too excited about reading the message from Teiwa, as he arrived and opened the scroll. As he read the first words, Hey shithead, it's been so long since I've seen you now. I know it's only been 10 months, but it feels like years. God, how much does that sound? I miss you. I know I'm not usually able to express my emotions, but it's better when I write them down. I also want to know how much you've grown both physically and training wise, but I guess I'll see in a year, right? Infiltrating sorcerer organization is a bitch. The man is the most paranoid shit I've ever met. I had to cover up my own curse mark so they didn't think I have any connection to that pedo. It worked though. I'm in the organization for a supposed S-rank missing in. The guy was a moron. It only took me 2 months to work my way into his inner circle. I'm not one of his trusted elites. I've been training hard as well, enough that he think I'm too valuable for simple spy work. I am currently doing missions for the Akatsuki. How weird is that? Don't worry, it's nothing major or even related to their main plans. I use every opportunity I get to screw them over. Without joint suspicion, I feel I'm getting a lot stronger. No details yet, just something you have to see later. I want to know how you're doing, what you've been doing, who you've met. Just a warning though, if I find out that you've been another girl, I'll rip your nuts off. I also decided to send you something, so you wouldn't forget me. Well, that isn't possible though. Anyway, I'm not sure how you're gonna send me a reply, but you're a resourceful shithead, so you'll find a way. Speaking of which, how do you like the Falcon? Badass, isn't it? Gar gave me the summoning contract before I left. It took a while for me to get used to it, and the boss summon is a total bitch. But I eventually slapped them around enough, so I get what I want. I hope you're having fun wherever you are and that you're staying safe. I want my boyfriend in one piece when I get to see him next. Sorry that I took long to send this. When I said Sasori was paranoid, I wasn't kidding. This was the first I got a solo mission. I'm not sure how long these stupid things are supposed to be, so I guess I'll stop here. I miss you, and I can't wait to see you again. Your smoking hot, super sexy girlfriend, Teiwa. A warm smile came on his face as he read the message. It was just so Teiwa. He also laughed a bit at the end of what she wrote. She sounded like Uncle. It seems he worked for nothing. Our mission was going good, and he was happy for that. It was also good he was able to get the Akatsuki, or at least sorcery, to trust her. He wondered what type of missions they had her going on. She didn't clarify in the letter, so he was curious. He shrugged. It would just be one of the things he asked when he sent his reply. But he wondered how he could do that. She has faith in him in that regard though. He had a seal placed on her, one of the more long-lasting ones. One that would last in the end of a training trip. But just flashing in wouldn't be a good idea at all, especially if she was in a bad situation. He also didn't know where she was. The jump could be rather large, and he didn't know the full extent of his jutsu, but he could send a scroll. His mind started to work as Fu snatched a scroll from her hand as she wanted me to wear. As she decided to read it for herself, Fu then noticed a small seal at the bottom. Naruto might have overlooked it because of his haste. She remembered what Naruto told her about Fuin Jutsu. She channeled chakra into her hand and placed it on the seal. There was a small poof that was enough to break Naruto from his thoughts, as Fu was holding a small stack of Polaroid's picture. Her eyes went wide I'll take those, fool, said Naruto as he snatched him away rather quickly. As she looked rather shocked, he looked down, as he realized why. Teiwaya was in front of the camera with her hip out, her right hand up in a peace sign. She was in a tight two-piece bikini, red. Where did she get that bikini? Wait, who the hell is holding the camera? He was really angry at someone else seeing her like that when the photos were supposed to be for him. He looked over at Fu, who still looked shocked, holding her hands out like the photos are still in it. So that was Teiwaya. What do you think? He had tried to meet the question so casual, but he failed miserably. She seems, really pretty. She'll be really happy to meet you. I bet the both of you get along great. Fu just nodded, her young mind still confused about what she just saw. Big brother, why did she send pictures like that? As Naruto chuckled as Yujito was at the doorway in the kitchen, as she was looking at them strangely, more precisely the pictures Naruto had. It's a boyfriend and girlfriend thing. You will understand when you get a bit older. She pouted at that as she wanted to understand now. That is how all children react after all. As Yujito was no curious as he tried to take the pictures away from Naruto, but Naruto moved his hand. He moved it again as Fu got over a shock. The both of them then tried to take him away from him. That was a scene that B walked on. Naruto was on his toes, his tippy toes, his hand high up in the air, with Fu crawling up on his back to get the photos, and Yujito pressing up against him as he tried to reach it. B eyes widened in surprise at the compromising situation. He wondered what those photos were about. Must be special for all of them want to get it. So he flipped over their heads as he grabbed it. His sunglasses fall off his face when he looked at them, revealing deep brown eyes. Man, little nine, your girlfriend looks mighty fine. The man started to flip through the photos as Naruto slapped his hand and pulled them away from him. Viewing time is over. This is between me and Teiwaya, he said. Come on, big brother, we were just curious. You tell us so much about Teiwaya, but we never actually see her. The irritation melted away from his voice. Don't worry, Fu. Only a year, and you can see her for yourself. She smiled a bit at that, still upset that Naruto was hiding the photos from her, and wouldn't explain why. As she remembered the girl in the photo, she looked down to her chest and wondered why she was so puny. As the girl filled out the bikini quite well, she brought up the concern with Yujito, but Yujito told her to wait a couple of years. You're 9, I ain't got much time, so listen to my rhyme, said Killer B. As Naruto turned towards the man. Bro, send me to tell you that you and Little Fu had to skidoo. Naruto looked at him confused and wondered what he meant. As Naruto blinked, wait, the right eye just kicked me out of Kumo? As B wondered why his rhymes sound so confusing to Naruto when they sound so perfect in his head. Nah, bro love you and Miss 7. Having you here is like our own little slice of heaven. But you spend too much time here, so now you gotta get clear before Akash can get here. As Naruto looked down sadly, he knew that he would have to leave eventually, but he enjoyed his time in Kumo and he made good friends. He also reached a new level in his training, but he was promised by B that he would get scrolls from him to further his light affinity. How long do we have? Bro said you gotta pack up and go before those biju snatchers get ready to blow. He gave you all a week, so you better get sneaked. Thanks, B, said Naruto. It was cool hanging around here for so long. He looked over at Fu with a smile. She also looked sad at their forced departure. I guess it's time for a new adventure, said Naruto. She smiled. He had a habit of getting those smiles out of her, even when she was sad. What about my Jinjuki training? Fu asked. Yujito had stayed silent until now. But this was hard. Having the girl here was wonderful. Don't worry about it, Fu. Naruto's got it down pretty good, and he keeps on knowing what to do to improve him. I'm sure he can help you until next year. And when this is all over, me and B will still be here to help train you. Yujito knew more than most people that Shinobi's life was, well, unexpected. But Fu was just an innocent child. Thanks, big sister. She rushed over and hugged her tightly. As Yujito smiled, she patted Fu on the back. It's alright, Fu. We still have a few days before you and Naruto leave. We'll just have to meet the most out of them. As Fu nodded, as she thought about the things she still wanted to do with her friends in Kumo. Time skip, as Teiwaya swung in the hammock that she had strung up between the two pillars in the small room that she had been given, as her hands were behind her head. Saucer had sent her to meet up with an informant. He always sent her because he was too paranoid to go himself. As, despite that, he ran a tight organization that ran smoothly and swiftly. He had a steady stream of informants bringing information from all over the elemental nation. The same could not be said for his moron partner. When the two was together, they were always bickering. It will be over whose art was better, or something else. They will always bicker. Deira was assigned to the Ichibai Gaara. Yes, the Ichibai that was inside Gaara. And she would make sure that was never gonna happen. She would rip off his creepy mouth hands before he could even do anything. The first time they met, he tried to give her a small sculpture out of clay. It was a sculpture of her. It looked just like her, but she didn't want to touch it because it came out of his hands that were in his arms. But sure enough, when she did get around to touching it, it was damp, and she dropped it. That forced everyone to dive out of the way as a small statue exploded on contact with the ground. Yeah, she hated him alright. But for most of the time, she was left to her own devices with Saucer other informants. Unless, of course, she was sent a mission specifically, like she was currently on. She huffed in annoyance. He should be here already. She got up to stretch her body a bit, but she felt her hip warm up slightly. It felt like when Naruto would use the seal on her. To her surprise, a scroll just popped out of nowhere to her side as she caught it. As she lifted up her shirt, as she caught the complicated seal, before it faded again. Shithead, you sneaky bastard. I didn't even know that you put that on me. When she written that he would find a way. She never thought he would get it back to her so soon. It was only yesterday. As she smiled at the scroll, as she couldn't help but being excited. First word from her boyfriend in 10 months, as she laid the scroll out. Dear Teiwai-chan, I'm glad you found the route. I was getting worried, think that something might have happened in the mission. Not that I didn't think you would do well, but I care about you, and I can't help but worry. You're right about the time feel longer than it actually is, but I think your photos will keep me going. Thanks for those, by the way. Although they did cause a bit of trouble when I unsealed them. I guess I should answer your questions first. Yeah, it's weird that you're working for the Akatsuki. I get it that you're undercover, but still, it's strange to think about. I'm glad that you're doing well, and that you're causing trouble for the Akatsuki. That always works. The Falcon summon was cool, but I swear, it was trying to attack me when delivering a letter. It just flew right into me. I guess I should fill you in on what happened so far. When I left the Hinasan, I made my way to Take, where I met another Jinjulke. Her name is Fu. She's 12 now, her birthday just gone by. She took to me quite well. She's like my little sister now, and I can't wait for you to meet her. I know you two will love each other. After that, we both went to Kumo and I made even more friends. We met the Raikage. The guy is huge. There's B Sensei, he raps a lot. But he helped me with my light Nafente and controlling the Kyuubi's chakra. Oh, that's another thing. The Kyuubi has a name, Kurama. How strange I didn't know that. Next there's Yujito. She helped Fu with her own training. And we become friends as well. She's also a Jinjulke. I never thought I'll meet so many. There's also Samui, Amoy, and Taru. They're fun to hang out with as well. Kumo is a lot different from home, but they got good parts. I miss you. I'm not sure what else I want to write because I want to tell the rest of you personally. I really hope my reverse, Fujino Yiki, work. Because all this writing would have been for nothing if it did not. I guess I'll find out in her next letter. Can't wait. The one and only, Naruto Uzumaki. She smiled. It was good to hear from him again, even though it was only in letter form. As she saw there was a seal at the end, as she unsealed it. It was only one photo. As she guessed that Naruto wasn't the kind of person, but yeah, she should have figured. But it was Naruto, with a group of people that she did not know. She was surprised how much he has grown. As she saw the little girl in front of him, as he had his hands on her shoulder, as she figured that was Fu. The both of them smiled towards the camera. As she saw the large man behind Naruto, figured that was his sensei. She then narrowed her eyes at the girl beside Naruto, as she figured that was Yujito. Close to Naruto, really close. She trusted her boyfriend, but she was a bit jealous sometimes. She then saw the blonde-haired girl on Naruto's other side. She didn't know if it was Samui or Karu, but she didn't like them. She sulked as she looked under her own chest. While it wasn't anything to be impressive about, it wasn't near the size of the blonde girls. Other than that, she was happy that Naruto had made some friends, and even a sister in his time away. As from the photo, she saw a seal on it as she unsealed it. That's more like it. I'll admit, the swimming trunks look good in orange, she thought to herself. She heard footsteps as she quickly placed them away rather quickly as the informant came in her room. It's about time you showed up, like Master Sorcery. I hate being kept waiting. Now I understand I was called here because you have some information on the civil war in Kiri. Time skip. So, where are you gonna go? Yujito asked. All of his friends were gathered at the gate. He had thought about it. I think I'm gonna go to the wave, he said. Why there? Karu asked. They don't even have a shinobi village. What could you possibly hope to learn there? As Naruto shrugged, and that riled her up a bit. I had a mission there once to observe a Konoha genin team. They were protecting some local bridge builder from a tyrant. The entire village was under his thumb, and the people were pretty destitute, living out of what he provided for them. On that mission we killed the tyrant because he would have killed the team that we were observing otherwise. As they realized he was going there to pay his respect. After that, I don't know, maybe Konoha. After all is close, said Naruto. Fu went up to all of them and hugged them goodbye, even managed to get a smile out of Samui. As Naruto and everyone said their goodbyes. With that, they made their way off. Wow, it's big, said Fu as she glanced around on the giant bridge. As Naruto chuckled at that. Yeah, it is, he said. As he saw that the economy was booming, People were all over the bridge, selling. As they made their way inside of the country, things were really booming, of course. Houses were not broken or torn down anymore. There weren't people in the streets that had clothes hanging off of them, as Naruto was feeling happy that things had looked up for them so much. Let's find an inn to stay in, said Naruto. As Fu nodded before her stomach grumbled. She hadn't eaten since lunchtime. As Naruto chuckled at that, let's get something to eat first, okay? Yeah, she said. As with that they made their way. As Naruto was buying something, Fu saw a dragonfly as the thing flew and paused in the air, flew again and paused in the air. As she couldn't take her eyes off it, she followed it as it just kept on flying off. She wasn't even paying attention that Naruto wasn't following her, as he was still there buying something his back turned. As the thing went on a boat, she jumped as she landed on the boat, as she reached out to grab it before her hand placed on her shoulder. Fu. She looked up as she saw the look on Naruto's face. She lowered her head. She just walked off. He was probably worried for her. She was about to apologize, but Naruto dropped his guard so much as he was looking around for Fu and he couldn't find her anywhere. And now he found her, he was relieved. Fu then saw someone appear behind him. Big brother, bam! Something struck him with great force as Naruto fell down. Time skip. What do you mean you lost him? The leader of the Akatsuki said. I apologize, Leader Sama. We were trailing a boy through the land of lightning when he suddenly dropped off the radar. Ever since the Kyuubi Jinchuriki departed from Kumo, it seems like he gained the ability to suppress his own chakra to a mere level. But it's only a matter of time before he resurfaces. Very well. This setback is not really important. We still have a year and a half before we start our plans. I will have the sorcerer devote some of his resources to try and relocate the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. For you two, I want you to try and locate the Nibi Jinchuriki. Seems like she has also gone missing, as she was one of the easiest targets, but she's also missing now. Of course, Leader Sama, we won't fail you. See that you don't, Leader, says he vanished. Kisame turned his head towards his partner. How the hell are we supposed to track down Nibi Jinchuriki? Isn't that work for Zetsu or sorcery? Itachi, like usual, said nothing as he simply remained stoic, walking off. Kisame shrugged as he simply followed behind his partner. Meanwhile, Naruto felt so dizzy. His head was throbbing. His body felt weak. Hey, you're finally up. I'm surprised. A hit like that will take a shinobi a longer time to get up. Seems like you're a strong one. What's going on? Where am I? Said Naruto. You don't need to worry about that, kid. As Naruto tried to move his arm but he could not, it was chained up. As his head was still throbbing. You ninjas, without your chakra, you're really nothing, aren't you? Well, don't bother trying to struggle or use any of those fancy jutsus. That seal over there in your arm, as Naruto turned toward the seal that looked like chains. That is directly from the Hoshiki village. The prison, to be exact. There is no way that you can get out of that. Your chakra is sealed off. Make you pretty much useless at the moment. As Naruto looked around, where's Fu? Oh, that little brat with the funky hair? She's long gone. What? The man punched Naruto in his face. Hey, watch your tone, brat, he said. You're not the one in charge here. Someone stepped into the room as he handed the man a leather book without even looking back at Naruto as he simply left. The man went through the book rather quickly. Well. I was only keeping you alive because I thought there was a reward on your head. But you're not in here at all. You must be a shitty ninja. Where is Fu? Said Naruto. Well, if you must know, it doesn't really matter. It's not like you're gonna live long enough. But I guess I can tell you. Perhaps you will find comfort in her whereabouts, in your death. I assume that she's on one of the slave ships, bound for water country, but no one ever come back from there. The man clapped as four large men came in and untied Naruto. They grabbed him as they started to pull him outside. He was even too weak to fight them off. A storm was brewing. The waters crashed violently. The waves were picking up. The man brought him towards the edge of a ship as he tried to move, but he could not, out of their grasp. They simply tossed him overseas. Naruto gasped, his body exhausted. His body barely responded to him. As the water thrown him underwards, it pushed him back up before swallowing him. As he was thrown all around, he was at the mercy of the sea. as he struggled for the smallest breaths of oxygen he could manage, as he felt his body getting weaker and weaker. This was the worstest time to fall unconscious, as the water smashed him back down. Bubbles escaped from his lips, as his eyelids started to close. Damn it, he cursed, as his vision turned black. Meanwhile, Fu fought the urge to struggle against the itchy bindings that kept her hands from being used, as Naruto told her how to escape these things, but that wasn't a problem at the moment. It was a 20 man that was around, showing as her escorts, she and a bunch of people in the forest around. She had a bag over her head. It made it difficult to hear or know what the hell was going on, and she couldn't see. But she could tell that there was others around. A few of them passed out a few times, given from what she heard from the man speaking. She saw some of the others branded with a chain-like seal that blocked off their chakra. She was only spared because no one suspected that she ever got any training as shinobi. After all, they thought she was just a young girl, as she didn't even have a headband either, so they thought that she was a normal girl. She was slowly loosening the grip of the rope in her hand, very slowly, so they wouldn't notice her. She figured it would be best to escape from these guys before they brought her where they were going. These were just foot soldiers, grunts to carry out the menial labor. As she saw the Fuin Jutsu, someone bigger, someone more complex must be behind this whole thing. She saw the Fuin Jutsu. It was just like the one her brother was working on. Her brother. He had got knocked out because of her. He dropped his guard because of her. She had fallen for the simplest genjutsu to use, and she didn't even know where Naruto was, as she was worried that he was sealed with that mark, or that they killed him. After all, those seals could not hold him. He was a sealing master. So where was he then? As she knew him, if he was here right now, he would have broken out of the seal and freed everyone before they could say what. But she was useless. Even if she broke free, how would she save the others? But her brother always did good things, and he saved her. Yes, he saved her from a fate that she hated, that she didn't like at all. And if she just ran away and leave these people alone, that would make her no better than these guys that were taking them. Her eyes started to change. She would save them. Meanwhile, Naruto's eyes refused to obey him. No matter how much he told them to open the eyelids, they just won't. He was being carried. That much was obvious. He had woken up a few minutes ago. He was surprised that he wasn't dead. Unless this was the afterlife, in which case, it really sucks. The last thing he remembered was the water overtaking him completely as he drifted in the ocean. It was either that someone rescued him, or he washed up on a shore somewhere. Giving up on his eyes for now, he focused on the seal on his arm, blocking his chakra. It was no wonder he felt so drained. He couldn't access his countless reserves. Not even a drop. Not even the fox chakra could breach this prisoner sealing jutsu. He knew all too well of the Hoshigo prison and their infamous sealing technique. He only hoped that he didn't have the small problem of incinerating the subject if the person applied got too far away. As he groaned a bit, the person paused as he placed Naruto down, leaning up against a tree. As Naruto forced his eyes to open, this time his eyelids did move back. It took a moment for his eyes to focus, as he saw a man standing there with a large scar running through his face, a beard that grew around his face, but the rest of his features were hid by a hood. He had on a Kira headband that did not have the missing name slash, although with the hidden missed reputation, that might be still bad for Naruto. Are you alright? There wasn't much sympathy or compassion in the man's voice. He just said it to make sure that carrying him all this way wasn't a waste of time. Naruto nodded as he stood up to deal with his dizziness and his chakra completely sealed off. Where am I? He said. His voice was hoarse and dry. The man gave him a canteen of water as Naruto happily drank. We are currently on the route through the land of water, so one of my superiors can make a decision about your future. As Naruto gulped a bit, that didn't sound all that friendly. Who are you? Said Naruto. I am a part of the current rebel forces that seek to overthrow our tyrant of Akage, Yagra. The man spat. As Naruto realized he was in water country, it wasn't too far off wave, but it was a long way off. Not only that, he stumbled right into the middle of a civil war. His mind then snapped. Fu! I'm sorry, the man said. I wasn't able to detect anyone else out in the water. You're lucky, I was able to find you at all. Maybe you should thank Mei-sama for tasking me with a mission so close to the coast. He didn't know who Mei was, but he was gonna thank them. As Naruto cursed, as Fu was placed on another ship, it was like the man read his mind. I wouldn't be worried if your friend was also taken by the thugs. It's most likely that you're on their way to one of the slaves' camp. Our organization run raids on them to put Yagra off balance. There's a possibility that they might be rescued in our recovery. Naruto's eyes hardened Once he got this damn seal off, he would go after Fu himself. Corrupted Kage or not. My name is Sergai, by the way. If you're able to move, I suggest we get going again. It is unwise to stand around so idly, while not in the safety of our bases. Naruto nodded as him and the man moved off. It was infuriating not being able to bounce to the trees with his chakra like he usually would. He was still a bit fast without his chakra or anything. His muscles were well defined after intense training, but still, it was nowhere near to his normal speed. I must ask, I'm curious, why did those thugs attack you and brand you with a seal, only to throw you overboard? As far as I'm aware, they saved that seal for the bloodline users they managed to capture to subdue them. Do you hold a bloodline? Naruto shook his head as he almost laughed to himself. He carries something very different in his blood. As he realized that Kyuubi hadn't spoken anything, so she must be blocked off as well. Completely from even speaking to him. No, I don't know why they target me or Fu, but I think she wasn't again jutsu that lead her right to their boat. They knocked me out. When I woke up, the seal was already on me. When they found out I wasn't in the bingo book, they threw me overboard. It was probably so that they wouldn't have another mouth to feed. Plus, I would have caused them a lot of trouble. Strange. It is like the thugs under Yagura's employ. Get rid of such an ideal prisoner, shinobi or not. Perhaps they speak of instability in their ranks. I will have to inform Mei-sama about this when we return. Sergai kept on stopping as he simply glanced around most of the time. And they pick up at the pace. An hour passed of nothing but running. After a while, the man's eye settled on a yellow rock that seemed out of place. He picked it up as well as seal on the other side, and he poured chakra into it. The ground then split open, as it opened wide. The staircase going down. Sergai told her to go ahead as he stepped in behind Naruto, as he went through handstand close enough by the ceiling. As Naruto looked down the long passageway, as he groaned. More walking? Meanwhile, the small group had stopped for the night. Even slavers knew that running their prisoners into the ground wasn't beneficial for anyone. They slept while 5 thugs watched them as they rotate in shifts every often. Fu was able to move around as she spread her plan to all those who would listen, as she was also able to find out what was going on. Most of these people were bloodline users, or they were, until their chakra was sealed away. They were rounded up by the Mizukage himself, and they were placed in state camps. Fu had been disgusted by this. Apparently, the Mizukage feared the power of the bloodline users. He became paranoid. At first, it was minor things, a family member disappearing from their house, some establishments burning down randomly, and now it was a nationwide hunt for anyone that traced off a bloodline. But the bloodline users and those that sympathized with them fight back, and now it was a fully blown war. That was almost 3 years ago, and the civil war is still going on, raging. The moment then came as the guards relocated again, as they would take a while to check on them for now, as Fu began her plan. As Fu stood up calmly, attracting the new guard attention. Sit back down, bloodline scum. She still stood on her feet with her hands bound, supposedly. As Fu waited until the man was close to her, as she let them loose, 2 wings sprouted from her back. It surprised everyone, guards and prisoners. Fu only told them that she would provide the destruction. She didn't tell them what it would be. The guard, momentary hesitation was all that she needed. As her wings flapped, her feet left the earth. Once airborne, she loosened the ropes around her wrists as she rubbed them. Why doesn't she have the seal? She smirked as they were all panicking now, as all the prisoners ducked down and closed their eyes as she released all the fine golden dust. The moonlight with the campfire, as everything went bright. The thugs dropped as they grabbed their eyes and their head, screaming in pain. Fu then whistled loudly as the prisoners got up as they all rushed off. Fu figured getting away was a priority. Finding somewhere to actually go could come later. The thugs still were on the ground rubbing their eyes. They would be like that for about 5 minutes as she flew after the prisoners, leaving behind traps to get the guards when they tried to come after them. Fu then dipped to the right as she staggered back to the left. As she started to fall, she took her legs as she rolled, as her wings went back in. Flying was really difficult. Her wings weren't something constant like Naruto's ears or tails. They were just something she could summon without Komi's chakra. The problem was that using them was exhausting. The more she used them, the more her shoulder and her back burned. As she rushed to the trees as she caught up with the prisoners, as they hadn't run too far, they were all catching their breath when she got up. They all had their chakra sealed away, so it was difficult for them to run away. But now that their chakra was suppressed, they couldn't be detected either. Okay, who know where we can go to get those seals off of you? A man wearing earrings, with a Kira headband and an eye patch, blue hair as he raised his hand. I know somewhere we can go. Meanwhile, there was a rather attractive woman in front of Naruto. She gave off the air of powerful, experienced military leader, as he knew that she was the leader of the rebellions, Mei. Sergai. Who is this? She said. Mei-sama, I rescued this boy off the coast. He bear the seal of those bloodline users captured by Yagura. Mei looked over Naruto only once, as she turned back to the map that she was looking over. Sorry kid, we don't have any seal masters here. No one can help you remove that. I don't need any help. I just need someone to put their chakra into the seal that I created, said Naruto. She paused. What's your name, kid? As she was surprised, did he really find a way to counter the seal? Naruto Uzumaki. Uzumaki? She said surprised. Have you ever heard of Kushina Uzumaki? Sorry, no, said Naruto. As the way she said it, it was like she knew someone dear to her that named Kushina Uzumaki. I was born an orphan, so I don't really know much about my past, said Naruto. She nodded. Well, kid, do you think you can get that seal off? She asked. As Naruto nodded. Well then, let's get to work. Time skip. Thanks. As Naruto nodded, as the man looked very appreciative of it. Naruto turned towards me. That's the last one. As Naruto smiled at her. Come with me, she said. As the both of them walked down the hallway, he was able to remove all the seals, but he just deactivated his because he realized the seal simply blocked his chakra, but it was still under the system. That meant it could be used for his training. Seal off his chakra to help his chakra reserves boost. You have no idea how much you have done for us, kid, she said. He didn't like the way everyone is still referring to him as a kid. As they passed down the hallway, people were glancing towards me as they waved. Some of them bowed in respect as well. He then realized some of them were nodding to him, as he was surprised. Don't worry, kid. The weight of a leader has a great burden, but you earn respect by being a leader, she said. A simple glance, it seems like she figured out what he was thinking. I'm not exactly one to be respected, said Naruto. And why is that? It's nothing. I'm more used to be feared than hated, he said. And why would a kid like you be used to those things, she asked. You're just a kid, she said. Trust me, age has nothing to do with it, said Naruto. As she brought him to a room, as she pointed towards a map. What's that? This is more likely where your friend is being held. We are unable to get to this camp. It's the most largest, but it's behind enemy lines. I'm sorry, I can't even send a couple of my Chunins with you, because I will be sending to your death sentence. As Naruto understand that, she was already fighting a war and she was low on soldiers. That's why I'll be coming with you. Naruto blinked, but you're the leader. Well, leader is someone who helps his people out in crisis, she said, as she gave Naruto a smile. If anything should happen to me and I should fall, someone will rise up and take my place. No matter what happened, the fight for freedom will never stop, she told him. And if I come with you and we destroy this place, it will be a big hit to Yagura's ranks. You have no idea how much you help us with this seal. Now we can gain back most of our bloodline users to stop him once and for all. And I can handle myself, she said that smile. So, what do you say, Naruto? You with me? As Naruto nodded, he has to find Fu after all. Meanwhile, as Fu was making her way, the guy known as Ayo, they were walking at a slow pace because of their chakra being sealed off. The guy known as Ayo, he was a part of Mei rebellion force, as he was bringing them there. Fu wished she had listened more to Naruto with Fuinjutsu, because it just looked like scribbled up lines to her. If she had listened, perhaps she would have been able to take off those seals. But Ayo said that they knew somewhere they can go. But Fu told him to don't worry. Once they find her big brother, he can get rid of those seals for all of them. Ayo looked a bit downcast, obviously not convinced by that. The man had been betrayed by one of his friends. The man was playing as his friend, but he was actually on Yagura's side. And Ayo got captured and his chakra was sealed away. As she really hoped that she found Naruto wherever she was going, that he arrived at the same place. But guys, be in subs right here. If you want the next part to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Put Through Hell over on Anime King 2, guys. And I enjoyed that. Remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, guys, you heard me correctly. I have 3 channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3. So become a part of the Anime King family, guys, and comment down below and tell me. I'll be replying, talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we get out of here? See you guys soon. Peace.
Throw